Thank you so much for watching Riff TV. Now, this interview is obviously with video, but I don't interview everybody on Zoom. That's why I put it on my Talkin' Rock with Meltdown podcast. We talk to rock artists from all over the genre. So check out Talkin' Rock with Meltdown wherever you get your podcasts. And now to today's video interview. Stone, you're already making me laugh. We just started. I never had a chance to meet you before, and already I'm cracking up because we're talking about different things off camera. So how are you?
I'm doing great. Beautiful day in Seattle. It stopped raining, so we're happy.
You can say that for a beautiful day in Seattle, huh? I've never been there before, but I mean, obviously that it's known for the rain, right?
Yeah, we get some moisture, and it's a good thing. It makes you stay inside and mess around with your guitar and
yeah, I got you. Yeah, I hear you there. Anyways, we want to talk about your records, Pearl Jam, Tigercub. I mean, there's so many things to get into but first of all, let's talk about Loosegroove Records. Now, you started this 28 years ago. Is that right?
Yeah, I keep saying 22, but you know how as you get older, you just keep missing about 5 years. So
that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right. 27 years ago, I started it with one of my dearest friends and influencers, Regan Hagar, who was in Malfunction and was really influential musically in Seattle. Wonderful guy, and we did that for about I don't know, 7 or 8 years, and sort of the high water mark was signing Queens of the Stone Age, and that was a big deal for us. But soon after that, there was just a lot going on in both of our lives, and we stopped doing it. But about a few years back, we kind of had some music that we were excited about, and we kept talking about it, and we were like, we gotta just start this up again. And we hooked up with some partners at the Orchard and found our future CEO there, Billie Jean Cirillo, who's just amazing and works there. And so we've been putting records out. We got a Brad record coming out pretty soon. We've got some young bands out of the UK that we've signed recently. One of them is Tigercub, and we're just thrilled about. Amazing rock band. So yeah, we're just we're finding our way and having fun in the clubhouse still. It's still playing in the sandbox and messing around and just chatting with your friends and finding fun stuff to do, and that's what keeps it exciting, is just making it really playful.
Now, when you started this company back in 1994, I mean, you guys were obviously in the midst of just like reinventing rock and roll as we know it, with the whole Seattle sound and the grunge and the whole thing. Were you watching like record labels and different people in the businesses, and did you say to yourself, well, I could do this, or I should try something like this?
First of all, if we think about it, do we really reinvent rock and roll? I'm not sure.
Well, I don't know.
I'm not sure that we did. We took we had a good spin on it, I think, that was a simpler and more straightforward. I don't know. Grunge has its great quality. So I love its simplicity, and I love its sort of human quality. But I think it was the same thing as just sort of having some success with music. All the success I've had is because I've been in collaboration with smart, creative people, and I wanted to keep going with that same theme. And Regan and I had talked a lot about art and a lot about music all the time, and we knew a lot of bands that we loved, and we just wanted to kind of go down the rabbit hole of just finding things that we both loved and both were excited about, and just see if we could help those things succeed, just as a challenge and as a game in a way, or as something to do with your life. And so it was always sort of that point of view of like, do something with your friends and have fun and stick with it. I mean, I think that's been the biggest learning lesson for me, is just like, we didn't stick with Loosegroove, but sometimes things come around again where it's like, oh yes, we did, in a way. We let it go, and now we're like more mature, and we've got more time, and we've got some more experience, and we've got better partners, and so we're now's a good time. So it's always the long game. I think that's the thing, that's the lesson I learned, is just like, just when you think you want to give up, just set it aside for a minute and then come back to it.
Now, are you accepting do you accept demos, or can people submit their stuff to you? Bands?
Yeah, I'm not sure how we would do that. We're just kind of scouring around. on the internet, and
You're on
people send us
MySpace
stuff.
and
But
stuff,
yeah,
right?
you could send stuff to Loosegroove. I don't know what our address is. I'll have to figure that out.
So
You could direct message us on on Loosegroove on our Instagram account, I think.
okay. Now, if I'm not mistaken, didn't you direct message Tigercub and tell him how much you liked him and you wanted him to come on your label?
Absolutely. And I knew they were following us at that point. And so I knew that they were sort of listening, and I'd already had a couple conversations with their manager at the time. So I'd already established a little bit of a relationship, but it was a little bit of a move there, throw it out there in the public and, add a little pressure. But it worked out. They're really wonderful, wonderful guys, and they're really hardworking, great rock band. And they're going to be around for a while. Jamie is a great songwriter. He's going to write all kinds of songs, but they're doing heavy right now, and it's good. They're getting heavy.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I know you like that. You like that heavy stuff. So anybody can just, of course, follow you on Loosegroove Records. On I know I'm following you guys on Twitter. I help to follow you on the IG and the whole thing, and you guys can take it from there. But so you just mentioned a few minutes ago about not changing the landscape of rock. So I'm old as far as this business is concerned. And when I first started, hair bands were the flavor of the day. And I was on the radio and I'm playing, you name the hair band, I was playing them. And I remember the first time I ever played Smells Like Teen Spirit. And I can remember going into my boss's office the first time and saying, well, we're playing Alive and Even Flow, but I want to play Black. And I can remember all this stuff. So there was like just a huge shift as far as I'm concerned early on in my career. So you may say that we didn't really change, but a lot of it changed.
I think we changed the landscape at that time. I just don't think we reinvented anything. I think we were taking punk rock and the blues and rock and roll, and we were just kind of doing it in a different way. So I do think we impacted the music industry at that time, and it's only because hair bands were so entrenched and the record business was so entrenched and everybody was just doing the same thing for so long that it lost its flavor. I was into hair bands. I wanted guys to dress up and have crazy hair and makeup, and but it was I think everything is time for a change at some point, and everyone wants something fresh again. So we'll see where it goes. But I love that the moment when when kids get a hold of something and they break it and they want to just make it their own. And so anytime that happens, it's kind of fun. It's a good time to listen, because then it makes it more about for anyone to make a band. It's not just stellar musicians. Sometimes it's just got to be a group of people that just love making a racket together. So
well, not only love that, but I mean just the whole Seattle thing. So I'm here in Detroit, and Detroit has quite a musical history. I wouldn't say as much as Seattle does, but in that time frame in the mid 80s to the 2000s, I mean, there's just I could think of 30 names off the top of my head that are just like musical legends.
Yeah, and I think kids got inspired in this town to see music as a real way to live their life and to be able to succeed at it. So I think there was some inspiration there, and some, so that's a lesson for lots of cities in terms of just being able to support the arts and knowing that there really is a path for kids to learn about, again, collaboration, music, how to do business, booking agents. I mean, all the things that tie into the music industry that you learn about that are important skills that you can sort of, develop into lots of different sort of either jobs or opportunities. There's tons of it. So but Detroit is huge, man. Iggy's got a new record out, I think, right now.
Yeah, but when you were coming up though, you had a lot of chances to actually probably quit and do something different, didn't you? You just kind of stuck with it.
Well, I think the only thing that would make you quit is just sort of the personal relationships of long-term collaborations. You just always conflict, and sort of negotiating kind of how you're going to do stuff together as a group is difficult. It's not a cakewalk, and you really have to keep a perspective on the big picture, because some fight you're having about some song or some approach to any particular thing that you're doing may seem like the most important thing in the world to you in that moment, and you might be having a big sort of conflict with somebody that you're working with. But if you stick with it 10 years, when you look back, you'll realize that was completely, meaningless. So it really is sort of having tough, a thick skin and a persistence and just a sort of vision of like, yeah, it's going to be, it's going to be a democracy, but it's, democracies are difficult. They're not, you can't just wake up and think, oh, we're all together and everyone loves each other. It's like, you gotta work it out with your teammates. So, and there's no, we don't have a boss. We don't have anybody saying this is the way you should do it. We gotta figure it out for ourselves. So that's the hard part, I think.
Now, there's some other Seattle bands that came out around the time as well, which was like Van Halen Queensryche or something. But you mentioned, I saw that recently you mentioned that Duff McKagen was so influential and with all these bands and stuff. And you may have talked about this before, but I think I read somewhere that there was actually Axl or something came and wanted to play shows with you guys. Is that true?
Wanted to play shows with Mother Love Bone, maybe?
Pearl Jam.
Or with Pearl Jam. I never actually, I don't think I've heard that, but Duff is really ground zero. I mean, as much as anyone can be ground zero for Seattle sound, I think Duff is really that guy, because he was playing in all the bands that I was seeing. And then he left, Seattle and started Guns N' Roses. So not only did he sort of influence this scene, and then he busted down to LA and started Guns N' Roses and made that so fresh. I mean, talk about like what might have been just kind of a hair metal band in a way, in terms of their influences. And then Duff brings this like dark, groovy, harmonically challenging little parts to it that make it all of a sudden sound tough and sound like, oh, it's not the same chord progression. It's different. Something about it's different. And he really, he's amazing. And that record that came out on Loosegroove, which is The Living, which is a record that Duff made, in 1981 or 1982, which never came out before. And it would have been the biggest record in Seattle at the time had it come out. But it's an amazing record. You really hear the nucleus of, 10-Minute Warning, which is Duff's band right after The Living. And then you hear the nucleus of Guns N' Roses in that. And everybody was kind of ripping off those kinds of riffs that he was playing with. So he's really special for sure.
Yeah, he never kind of lost that punk edge, did he?
No. And that's what makes it so great. It's like, you can kind of get big, and then you can kind of get into writing songs, and sometimes they just become so complex and so sort of cerebral. Punk rock just keeps it like, okay, but maybe we just need like a like just something that's like boneheaded and kind of caveman. You need to kind of be in touch with your inner caveman sometimes to make something, rock. And it's good to have a lot of musicality as well, but it's cool to not follow the rules sometimes.
Now, when I told people on social media I was going to be talking to you, I mean, obviously there's a lot of Pearl Jam questions. So what's going on with Pearl Jam right now?
Not much. We're taking some time off right now. We finished up all the makeup dates that we lost from 3 years ago. So we finished that up a few months back, and the plan is that we're going to do some more recording, and we're going to try to finish a record here pretty soon. So there's songs that are getting close to being done, and there's a bunch that aren't, and we're gonna do something here pretty soon.
Now, I was going to ask you, so how is the writing process? Do you guys demo stuff out? Do you go into a studio with a clean slate? How does that work?
We do it all the different ways. Sometimes we go in and somebody just brings a riff and we just work it up from the very, I got this and this part, and everyone just jams on it. And usually that's the best formula for us, where everyone's kind of in the same room and but we all bring in full, fully realized demos, and, we got demos for days. It's like, it's everybody writes in the band. So now it's really just trying to figure out really what's something different for us, and what's something exciting, and we're working on that. I think we've got a good start on another record that will be hopefully good.
2023?
I bet it's going to be 2024 before the record comes out, is my guess. So, okay. but we're working on it.
So both of us being near or at our mid-50s, we were talking about how technically inept we are before we started here today. What kind of stuff? What kind of stuff like influences you nowadays, as far as music or what have you?
I listen to a lot of pop radio because I got daughters, and I listen to a lot of KEXP. That's honestly my dream, is because I don't have to think about figuring out what to listen to. I've been digging that band, the Mets, on KEXP lately. They've been playing that. But I probably read books more than I do anything at all as far as listening to music.
Now, I have a 21-year-old daughter who's a country fan, and I always try to make her country dreams come true. Are you the same way? Do you pull some strings and pull in some favors for any of the pop bands that come through town?
What would I do?
Oh, I don't know, just some meet and greets, anything like that, or concert tickets or anything.
Oh, yeah. So if somebody really one of my daughters wanted to be, let's see, have I done that? I think my daughters met Taylor Swift maybe through her mom, and I didn't set it up, but it was, it might have, our management company might have been involved in that one or something, but I'm not that on top of that.
All right, a couple of fast things here for you. You're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You're a member of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and you get a vote, which some people probably don't know about. Who do you think should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
Okay, what's on my list this year?
Well,
right now, just off the top of my head.
Yeah, who do you think should
who's
be?
not in it already? That's the question. It's sort of the gate's been it's been ever since we've gotten in. It's about a flood of everybody's in.
There has been a lot. You know what? Listen, I was telling someone the other day. I took my daughter, like I said, she's a country music fan.
Yeah.
I went down to Nashville. We went to the Country Music Hall of Fame. And it was great. It was fantastic. But Metallica wasn't in there. Pearl Jam wasn't in there. And I don't think Dolly Parton should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But that's just my opinion. And I love Dolly Parton, stuff like that.
Well, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame's open there. It's more music Hall of Fame at this point. I think that's clear that they need a broader audience. So are the Pretenders in? I'd want the Pretenders to be in for sure.
I thought, I'm not sure if they're in that. I think the names always come up where like the Iron Maidens and stuff like that.
Yeah, Iron Maiden should be in there. I mean, I've spent a lot of time with Iron Maiden. Whew, man.
Oh, is that right?
Oh, hell yeah. Killers, Number of the Beast era, all that era was like, that's all I listened to. Merciful Fate, maybe. I feel like Satan should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So if that's
That's going to be the title of this story. Satan should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Stone Gossard, yeah.
He should be fully inducted, like seriously.
How cool was that to get in?
It was cool, it was I mean, it's like it's a little weird because it's just it's a very surreal thing because who you are and you didn't really play that much in practice, and you've been good, you've been a good bandmate, and you've written some good songs, but it just sort of feels a little bit like, whoa, is this really, does this make sense? Zeppelin, yes, in there. Hendrix for sure.
Yeah,
maybe it should stop.
Another
James Brown.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Well, you guys are sold out on what, 80 million records, something along the lines. It's like, I mean, you gotta be in there. Alice in Chains.
Love them.
They've got to be in there too, I would think.
Alice in Chains is not in there for sure. That's one. I mean, I don't think Soundgarden is in there for sure. Maybe Soundgarden is in now. I think they got in couple of years ago, maybe.
Yeah, they may have. I don't know. They start to run together a little bit. Being here in Detroit, ironically enough, I was at that last Soundgarden show, and I tell people all the time.
Oh, Jesus.
Once again, I tell people that I can remember the first time I ever played Outshined on the radio and was blown away by it, and there I was at the final show, not knowing it was the final show.
Oh, geez.
What's some of your favorite memories with Chris?
I mean, the more you listen to Chris and the more you just kind of dig into kind of what he did when he was here. And it's just, I'm just more and more impressed by him and just like in awe of his natural talent. I mean, we made that Temple of Dog record and we rehearsed like 4 times. He showed us the songs. We kind of knew how to play them. We went in there, him and Matt Cameron was just unbelievable. And they just showed us how to make a record in 5 days. And I listened to that record. I didn't even remember playing half of it. And it's maybe it's probably one of the best records I've ever been involved with. And it was like instantaneous, because those guys were so pro. And he was so generous to kind of give us the opportunity to make a record after, you know, we had lost our singer and Mother Love Bone to heroin overdose, and it was a horrible time. And he loved Andy. He lived with Andy and spent a lot of time with him. And he was just like, let's make a record together. Let's, you know, and he wrote these beautiful, sensitive songs at a time when all of it was heavy, you know, and like he was like, oh, I can do a ballad, I can do a love song, I could do sort of this stuff that's outside the genre that now it just sounds like classic rock. You know, you listen to it and it's like, but at the time it was very different. And you know, he's the GOAT, maybe, you know.
Yeah, no, unbelievably talented, of course, with everything he did. All right, two more things here for you, then we'll cut you loose. First of all, you mentioned grunge a few minutes ago. Are you one of these guys that doesn't like the term grunge, or?
Oh, I don't care.
Okay. Yeah.
You can call it grunge.
Yeah, because I know some of the hair bands don't like hair bands.
Yeah, I can understand that. Grunge makes sense. I mean, grunge makes sense. I mean, it sort of describes it in the right way. It's like, yeah, it's a little bit broken.
Yeah, a little grungy for sure. All right, final thing here for you. Pearl Jam breaks loose in the early 90s and stuff. What's the first like major thing that you buy?
Volvo station wagon.
Yeah.
It was a badass Volvo station. You know, like Volvos were like shitty. And then at some point in the kind of like, all of a sudden they like kind of got pretty tight and they're like good suspension and kind of fast and V6. And I got a Volvo 8-cylinder station wagon that was low and it was fast, man. And heated seats. I was like, whoa, heated seats.
Yeah, back in
the day. I got a car. So
there you go.
That was exciting.
Well, Stone, good talking to you. Good luck with everything. Loosegroove Records, of course. You're out there plugging that along. Painted Shield, forgot to mention that real fast. That's going on. You guys are playing South by Southwest coming up in March, right?
Yep. We're gonna do I think our debut show is gonna be at South by Southwest. So that's something to watch. And you know, keep an ear out for Tigercub. They're doing good stuff. They're gonna come back. They're gonna have another single here pretty soon. It'll blow you away. It'll be great.
All right. Well, Stone, thank you so much for the time. And of course, the years of rock and roll. And thanks for making me feel like I'm not the only one that's technologically.
Yeah, I'm your king. I just inept technologically. I'm the master of the universe. Thanks for your time. I appreciate it very much.